I'm Chris McDonough, a retired homicide detective. I've interviewed thousands of people, from serial killers to ministers. Welcome to the interview room. Hey, aloha everybody, and welcome to the interview room. We are grateful that each of you are here. It's great to see everybody in the chat and just coming in. We're thankful that you're here for a little summer Wells. I've got a buddy of mine here who you're going to hear from in a little bit, Mr. Steve Johnson from Truth to Lies. His link is below this video. We'll keep putting it into tonight's chat as we go along here. I just want to give a big shout out to our members, our subs, our mods, Miss Sophia, Maui Girl, Mimi J2, Four Sons Mom, and Melissa Hart. We are so thankful that each of you women have just been amazing in your time, your counsel, your direction. I cannot say enough thank you to all of you. I really appreciate it. And of course, to all of our members, thank you so much for trusting us. Thank you also our subs for trusting us to be unbiased, truthful, and right down the middle in relationship to what we do here at the interview room. If you have not had a chance and you're new with us here, please hit the subscribe button. We would be grateful for that. So tonight we're going to be reviewing my phone call with Don Wells, the father of 5-year-old Summer, missing since June 15th. And I want to reiterate that Don spoke with me voluntarily. He called my cell phone. Okay? I did not call his. Okay? I also want to remind everybody that Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson has said that everything is still on the table. Everyone is still a person of interest. Okay? And that means everyone is innocent until proven guilty by a court of law and a jury of their peers. And that's why Lady Justice wears a blindfold and she has scales. Okay? That means she balances everything out. The court system balances out. Okay? Everything that we're going to discuss here tonight is my opinion, and I'm going to let Steve, relate his concept and his opinions as a professional forensic statement analyst. You can see the link in about him in the description below. And one other thing I just want to talk about before we get rolling here, regarding bashing in the chat. Here's good news for all of you. If you have a desire to do that, I've set up a Discord channel over in Discord, and it's titled Trolls. Okay? So feel free to weigh in over there as much as your heart desires. It's, just go on over there and have a good time. If you're here just to bash someone else, okay, you'll be removed immediately, because this is a very fluid investigation for a 5-year-old missing little girl. Okay? And so our mods are the best, in my opinion, on YouTube, and they have been, directed. If you can't keep it classy, have a great day. Now, different opinions, though, in my opinion, are good for all of us. Okay? It's okay to have a different opinion. Okay? But hate is not productive in any way, shape, or form in helping little Summer and, quite frankly, her family. Okay? So with that said, let's take a seat and let's have a civil discussion tonight about this little girl. So I want to introduce my dear friend and a very well respected, not only nationally, but internationally. He's a forensic statement analyst. He's also a forensic handwriting analyst. And he's done and worn many hats in a well close to 30-year career in law enforcement. And now he trains law enforcement around the world in statement analysis as well as handwriting analysis. He also trains corporate America, as big corporations up to UPS or the Fortune 500 groups. I can't say enough about Steve Johnson. I not only call him a friend, I call him a colleague that I trust and respect, and that law enforcement, active law enforcement, trust and respect. And if they had a statement, they would call Steve and say, "Steve, tell me what you think." So that said, Steve, welcome this evening.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. It's quite an honor to get an intro like that from you. You are, I feel the same thing about you. Just a guy that's very, very well respected in the community, trying to do the right thing. That's what we're all trying to do, is do the right thing. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So Coop is actually in Texas training the PDs down there at a conference. And so we want to excuse him. And Dean is also out doing a couple other things. So you have to remember these guys are very, very busy. So I was lucky to grab Steve tonight and see if he could weigh in. So that said, Steve, as we've done in the past, what we'll do is we'll do a push play. Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so as I set this up, I just want to let the audience know we're going to go for about an hour because this is a very long interview. And of course, you're going to see nuances that you're probably going to, have me stop a bunch of times. But simultaneously, I want to give you the time to really, do what you do best. And then if we have to have a part two, are you available anytime next week, maybe?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. If we need to do a part two, let's do it early next week sometime.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to set this up here, and while we're doing that, tell everybody a little bit about what your thought process is just before we even start here tonight.
Well, as we go into this, my thought process is, as I go into any statement, it's the same. It's that I am going to, I don't have a dog in this fight. My goal is to bring justice to the table. To number one, if it's possible, to find Summer, and number two, to bring those who are guilty to justice. And so that's the end goal. And tonight we're going to be dissecting Don Wells, Summer's dad's statement that he gave to Chris. And anytime anyone talks, they're going to let us know just a plethora of information. Don has information in his brain, and we want to know what it is. And when anyone talks, they're going to give away information that they did not intend to reveal. And that's the beauty of understanding how to break down a statement, understanding the linguistic behaviors. And once you know the principles, it actually brings a statement into a whole new light. It sheds so much information on the words that they're using. So as we go into this, I'm actually going to believe what Don tells me. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm naive and that I'm just going to give him carte blanche and believe everything he says, but I'm going to believe what his brain is telling me. And his brain is going to reveal information to us. And if there's deception, I'm going to believe it. If there's information that Don's revealing that he doesn't know, I'm going to point that out and you know, some of it's going to just create more questions for us. But that's where we want to go. Any good investigation has a lot of good quality questions, and so we're just going to see what Don reveals. And as I'm like I said, I'm not going to judge Don. I'm just going to call out what his brain is revealing, and it's just that simple. It's not you know, I'm not giving my judgment or anything. It's just, this is what it is. And if there's a question, I'll just leave it as that it's a question that we have. And we'll see if the statement, what he says later on, might answer that. It often does. And if not, we leave it as a question. It's a follow-up question for the investigators. And, you know, I hope several of the investigators are listening in, because I think this will shed light on the investigation. It'll help them out. And, so that's the way we're going to go into this.
I love your comment. You don't have a dog in the fight. So if I was a case agent and I came to you, this is exactly what you would do. Am I right?
That's correct. I'm just going to break it down. Just you know, actually, Chris, I've had different agencies come to me with cases, and they have said, this is our suspect. You know, we want to know, actually they're wanting to focus on that guy, and they're wanting ammunition for that person. And there's times I've just had to say, this is not your guy. You know, I'm just going to give it to them the way that it is. Whatever their brain reveals is what I'm going to give to them. And so, yeah, I check all my biases at the door. I'm just going to go with what his brain reveals.
Awesome. And as we get started, guys and gals, thank you. Right up front, I want to thank you for all of your consideration, you know, of, you know, super chats, etc. I just want to blanket say thank you. We're grateful. And then there's going to be, we'll probably dive into this for an hour and 15. And do you have maybe another 15 minutes after that, Steve, to do a Q&A? And then on the second one, as we go through it, then we can really dive into letting folks, you know, get into your head. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
My head's a scary place, though.
I've known that for a long time, but you've seen me. You know, mine is even worse. So we're good. I love it. That was hysterical. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button, and there's a couple of places here that we don't want to compromise anything. So I'll jump over it. But whenever you see the highlighted area, that will be a jump. You good? All right.
I'm good with
here
that.
We go. All right. So everybody, give me a 1 when I start playing, so I know that everybody can hear it on that side. And Steve, give me the heads up on when you want to stop. All right, here we go.
Sounds good.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, I'm hanging in there. Just hanging in there. I just wanted to call and talk to you a little bit. I might have misunderstood exactly what was going on. You know, and if I have, I apologize to you. You know, I just a little bit confusing, everything, you know, what's going on and all.
Yeah, there's no problem, Don. I mean, you know, I wanted to talk to you at length and sit down with you, and I knew that there was you know, you couldn't talk about the boys, but you know, I just want to focus on Summer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
if I was wrong, I'm sorry. I just kind of misunderstood some things. I think it's miscommunication or whatever. I don't know. But
no worries.
everybody said they thought he was really cool and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of trying to think, you know. But yeah, that's what I want to do is focus on Summer. You know, everybody's focused on me and Candace, and I've been trying to tell them from the beginning when the cops first started pulling into our house that she's not here. And I've never listened.
Hold up, Chris.
What?
He just gave us context that we need to understand moving forward. he said, everybody's focused on me and Candace. And so, you know, this interview is taking place quite a while after, you know, Summer's gone missing, and he's been questioned a lot, and he's feeling the heat, he's feeling that pressure, and he says everybody's focused on me and Candace. So that's important for us as we go through this, because we have to take that into consideration, that he is going to be, there's going to be a little bit more sensitivity in his language. We might see more of it than we would normally expect, because he knows that he's being questioned, and his statement is going to be a bit contaminated now because of all the questions that have been asked to him. He just kind of let us know he's going to kind of gear his what he says towards the questions that have already been asked previous to you asking questions. So that's context is key. And I love that he said, what I want to do is focus on Summer. And I like that. That's positive. I hope that continues on, that I see, because that is appropriate. And I want to see that continue on, that he wants to focus on Summer. And, you know, it's interesting, though, as I say this, I'm looking at his transcript up here on the screen. What I want to do is focus on Summer. You know, everybody's focused on me and Candace, and that's why he wants to focus on Summer. It's because he's feeling the heat and he wants to deflect back to Summer. And so it's also, you know, it changes things a little bit right there. What was your thought as you heard him say that? Did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was right along those lines, that he's introducing the investigators that have already, you know, sat down with him. And then he, you know, is reiterating, you know, hey, that, you know, I'm trying to, you know, talk about my daughter for a moment here, right?
Yeah. So we want to see that continue. So I'm hoping that continues on, and I'm expecting now to see a little bit more sensitivity in his language. And when I say sensitivity, what I mean is more anxiety, if you will. I need to explain, and so but it needs to be appropriate. It needs to be appropriate in this context. So we'll see.
So the foundation here is, going forward, the whole focus should be on Summer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. You want me to keep moving?
Let's keep moving, and you're going to ask him a question here, and then he's going to give you an answer, and we'll stop right after that answer.
Okay. Sounds good.
What do you? I know you feel that way. So what's brought you to that? Why are you at that?
Well, I knew as soon as I pulled up, as soon as I pulled up, and I didn't get a call back from Candace saying, "Oh, we found her," and I come all the way out from Jonesboro, you know, and I probably made it in 30 minutes at least, if not faster. But I beat all the police there, and I went straight to the bottom property, and I seen everybody look, and I knew she was gone. Because she don't go away from the house, ever.
Yeah.
And so go
ahead.
Yeah, well, I just knew. I knew right then, that very second, that she was gone.
Okay,
do you want me to stop that?
Yeah, let's stop right there. So, I'm actually not feeling warm and fuzzy about this answer, and it kind of bothers me, and here's why. There's a couple things going on here. First of all, he says he's talking about all this. He's given us all this extra information that is really not necessary about his overt actions of getting there and how fast he got there. I come all the way out from Jonesboro, you know, I probably made it in 30 minutes. at least, if not faster. But I beat all the police there. And Chris, this is, he's building himself up. And this is a convincing statement of, look at what I did. If you don't believe me that I'm not involved, look how fast I got here. And it doesn't even need to be stated. In fact, most parents wouldn't even think to talk about how fast they drove to get there. Now, with that being said, like I said, he has been asked a lot of questions. And so he may feel the need to explain or to convince a little bit more, because he's feeling the heat, and maybe he's feeling like people are accusing him. And so he's stepping this up to convince people that he really is a good person, a good dad, and look how fast he got there. And I would give him a pass on that. I mean, I'm teetering on this. It goes, you know, I have to take both into consideration. But now here's the thing that where it kind of, the scale kind of tips for me. He says, I seen everybody looking and I knew she was gone. And he gives me a reason why. Because she don't go away from the house ever. I just knew, I knew right then, that very second, that she was gone. And my question is, how in the world does a father process that fast that his child is gone? I mean, Chris, that goes against, that defies human nature. We don't process that quick. And he's made this conclusion, and that, you know, we could debate back and forth about that word gone, because we hear that used in homicide investigations, homicide cases. But it also can be used, you know, in a kidnapping, but more when we're looking at a kidnapping case, we expect to hear words like she was taken, that she was abducted, that she was stolen, things like that. Meaning that there still is hope that she's alive and that she's going to be found, and there's just hope. And I don't have that here. His language that she's gone, that's final. That's more of the thought process of finality, and that there's no hope. There's no hope there, and I have a problem with that.
And you know what's interesting about that? I didn't get here till, you know, almost 30 days into this, right? If not longer. Okay. And so in the very beginning, in some of the news conferences, he was laying out, you know, that, you know, she's gone. She's, you know, abducted, et cetera. And then, you know, he follows that up with, you know, how does he see her? And he does some really interesting, you know, statements on that. And what I'm learning here is, even in the last week, he is constantly adapting to the statements that he is, you know, hearing and listening. And it won't surprise me if, you know, he's here tonight watching this, okay? And he's going to adapt to everything we're talking about, okay? The problem with that, right, as you and I both know, the challenge with that is the truth is a constant. Right. And unfortunately, you know, you get into the interview room with, you know, the LE at the PD, you know, they're going to go, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And, you know, anyway, so I'm going to keep moving. Sound good?
Hold on just 1 second. One more thought as you were talking. You know, that adaption, that's a very typical thing. But there's a thing we call late to the party. It's you know, your answer should have been right the first time. And after you've had time to listen to things and to adapt and to change your denials and your exclamations and things, it's late to the party. And so they're diminished. This as I was looking this over, his words about him coming all the way out from Jonesboro, and I probably made it in 30 minutes. This reminds me of Barry Morphew's statement. And folks, if you haven't seen Barry Morphew's interview and the breakdown we did on that, go back and look at that, after this show. But Barry said, if you remember, Chris, he said, I left all my tools there and I drove straight through. And it's this over convincing of how urgent he felt. He's trying to manufacture this urgency, and it it just didn't work. And that's a sign for us, because it was an unnecessary expression of urgency that he was manufacturing it. And this is very similar to that. So scales are being tipped here a little bit the wrong way.
So are folks saying that I'm blurry? So I know my screen is blurry, but is this helping at all? I mean, by the way, my whole life is blurry, so I hope I can fix that. But so I'm going to keep moving, and right, we used to call this sod, right? Some other dude.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the classic. Somebody shows up at the PD for a conversation, and they bring a friend, and that guy sits on the couch, and in the interview he says, well, if you don't believe me, go ask Hank, he's out there in the lobby. Okay, yeah, we'll go ask Hank. Okay, so let's keep moving. And by the way, I'm not going to answer any questions of whether I think he's guilty or innocent. That's up to the LA authorities, and then of course the court of law. So those who want me to do that, it ain't going to happen. So here we go.
Chris, stop after his next answer as well.
Okay.
What inside of you brought that so quickly, brother? Where did you come from on that?
Well, I knew they was looking around the hill and everything up top there, and I drove straight to the bottom there where that little funky shed is there, and I went down the hill by the creek in that little four-wheel drive Subaru. I went straight down there to the creek, and I seen the boys down there, and they know not to travel alone. They was together, and I seen my neighbor walking around, and I knew my heart just sank right there. I just knew it, that somebody took her, because she just don't go nowhere. But she would never leave from up of the, around the house there. No way.
Okay, so that we have this continuation of the processing in a situation where a normal parent wouldn't process that fast that she was gone, and he also introduced that somebody took her. So now we have the abduction theory coming into play here, which, like you said, Chris, he introduced that in his first interview with the media, and he went into great lengths that somebody took her far, far away. I remember watching that. But there's something in here that's interesting, and it's very subtle. And if you're not looking for it and don't know what to look for, you'll miss it. And most investigators will miss this. So he says, and I seen the boys down there, and they know not to travel alone. They was together. So what he's saying there is that he has trained his boys not to travel alone. That's the only way the boys could know that. And so what's he saying about himself? He's saying, I'm a good dad. I trained those boys not to travel alone. And so they stayed together. And so we see this, they will build themselves up. We call it the good mom, good dad principle. And we see it most often when they know that they have done something wrong, that they may not have been a good parent. And so they will subtly build themselves up to be a good parent in a situation like this. So it's one of those interesting things that we see, and I always highlight it when I see those things, because it's typically an indication that there's likely something under the surface that's lurking there, that he feels this need to build himself up. Otherwise, why would you have to build yourself up? The focus should be on Summer, not on what a good dad he is and how he's trained his boys. So that's, for me, that's a little bit of an issue.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. Tell me when to stop.
Let's go.
Yeah, no, I mean, what about the boys? What were they doing when you saw them down there by the shed?
They weren't by the shed. They was down they were, if you look down where the power lines are, you go straight down, they were looking, walking around looking for Summer. And I knew I just knew she was gone. I mean, but trying to tell the police that and everything when they just pulled up, and then they blocked all the roads because I guess they took the time to call in search teams and everything like that, thinking that she was just lost in the woods. And I was trying to tell them she's not lost in the woods. Somebody has taken her, I tried to tell them that, and they never did listen to that.
And what was your feeling as to why they weren't listening? What's your gut?
I'm not sure why. I'm not exactly sure why that is.
So, Steve, I have a question for you on that one.
Yeah.
So he made it a point to say that he was the first one there before the PD, right?
Yeah.
And then in here, he says to tell the police that everything, when they just pulled up, and then they blocked all the roads. So what he's saying is he was down at the bottom, okay, and the cops show up, okay, and so he then goes back up to basically tell him what's going on. But I talked to some folks that said they already had his driveway blocked. So I thought that was kind of problematic just listening to that while listening to him. It wasn't lining up, as I'm saying, right, with what potentially could have been. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop. So I'm going to keep moving. Any follow up on that from your perspective?
It's a good point. What he's doing here, and from what I can see, is he is denigrating the police already. He's for whatever reason, it's subtle denigration to the police, and I'm not sure that we could say why he's doing that at this point in time. I think by the end we may understand a little bit more, but it's a subtle dig to the police officers. So
if you have a moment, can you kind of keep like little flags from your professional experience, maybe a count of, or whatever you do? I don't even know. I don't think I've ever asked you that question, but if it maybe a little, something that says, okay, I'm seeing this, so we can keep tabs of it towards the end.
Absolutely.
Because 72% of this conversation is him, and 23% of it is me. So I'd be curious as to your assessment, just on day one here in this particular conversation as we move forward. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving. You good with that?
Let's go. Yep, let's go.
Okay.
I mean, probably because they figured that she was just lost. I don't know what I'm talking about, and they had they all had different questions and this and that, and probably because many times before it's always been the parents too and stuff. Or whatever. I'm not sure, but I just knew that she was headed down the road somewhere in somebody's car, and no matter what I was saying, it just wasn't getting through. I just felt like I was just totally lost. I was in shock.
Yeah.
In complete shock.
Now,
all right,
when you got there,
let's hold up there. So, this is interesting. He, at the end there's a couple things going on in there, but he took the focus off Summer and he turned it to his own emotion. And Chris quite frankly, I usually don't see this unless the parent has some kind of knowledge or involvement somehow, that they will talk about their own emotion instead of the concern for his daughter. And now he introduced here again that somebody has her, that she's in somebody's car. She's, headed down the road somewhere in somebody's car. So it's the abduction theory. But what I expect to go along with that is anger. I expect all these different thoughts about or reasons why he came to that conclusion, because all he's really said is that she's gone, she's in somebody's car, she's headed down the road. Well, what brings you to that? What has gone on in your mind to bring you to that conclusion, to make those words come out of your mouth? He's not giving me that. And what he's really not, also especially not giving us, is that where's the concern for Summer? Are they taking care of her? Is she being fed? Is she, does she have her, if they took her, do they take her medications? Do they take her pillow and her dolly and all those comfort things? And I hope they're treating her good. And oh my gosh, if they're doing anything to her, I swear I'm gonna come unglued. I'm gonna find them. I hope the police get the job done quickly and find her. I'm just not hearing any of those things, and
yeah,
it's disturbing. It's noticeably missing. And so what he did is he reflected his own emotion instead of of talking about Summer.
Yeah, right. No, and and I've shared this with my YouTube family here. I lost my son, who was 20 years old in 2003. And at the time, Karen and I were at Disneyland when he died in an accident. And I can remember the moment my phone rang. I was standing at the Teacups in, Fantasyland or whatever that is over there. And I remember talking to the cop on the phone who said, hey, and he told me, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't believe it. And I cannot tell you to this day how we left Disneyland. Okay. And that was September 3rd, 2003. Okay. I can tell you, though, I didn't believe it. And my biggest questions were all the way to where it happened was what happened? And I needed those confirmation answers from the PD. I didn't know what happened. And I didn't say this happened. Okay. And that struck me the moment he said that. I was like, why are you saying she's been already, kidnapped down the road in a car? How do you know this? Okay. And so that was from a personal measure, on a personal level. And so that did strike me as, it just didn't feel right when I heard it.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep moving.
Man, that's a perfect example that parents don't process that quick. Even though it's being explained to you and they're telling you, you refuse to process. It's very, very difficult for a parent to process and make that come to that conclusion that quick. So, that's a tragic story, but you just made it's a perfect example of what I've been saying here.
Yeah, and thousands of people probably watching us have had the same experience and have probably measured it, the exact same way. So I thought it was interesting. I'm going to keep moving. You good with that?
Let's go. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right, bud.
Describe for me what the scene looked like. What was going on?
Well, the police started coming in and everything, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go take my car, and I'm going to go look here and there, and drive around. And I drove, like I say, I was in shock. I didn't know which way to go. So I tried to drive down and I got down there on the road, and there were these people bringing their trailers in and their four-wheelers, and all of Ben Hill and Beach Creek was just bottlenecked. Traffic jam. Couldn't get nowhere.
Right.
You know, couldn't go nowhere.
And then what about, now are these all cops, or are they search and rescue?
Well, they were mostly, police and, volunteers, search and rescue or whatever like that.
Okay.
But I didn't, I probably didn't clarify on the phone, either that she was abducted, because I didn't know at the time. But when I pulled up there, I knew that, she was gone. And maybe I didn't communicate that to them like I should have, or what was, what I felt. Well, I had a few times. I said, she's not here. I come to that conclusion right away. But
and what brought you to that conclusion? That was pretty quick, right? I mean, just knowing her, and that because we tried to scare the heck out of her and let her know, because we do have bears, right.
And we do, them dogs. Everybody keeps talking about them dogs, but they're the stupidest damn things, and they also will go away for days and then come back, and I don't know where the heck they go, but they do. And they weren't there that day.
Oh,
they weren't around that day.
Hold up, Chris.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So this is a really key statement that he made here. First of all, and I'm just going to back up just a little bit. We have more of the, he expressed his own emotion again. Like I say, it's a referral statement. Like I say, I was in shock. He's really wanting you to believe this. He's selling it. And I can't, that for me, it's just does the opposite. You already told me this, and now you're selling it again. I mean, how many times do you have to beat your feet before we go, there's a real problem here? And then more of the, she was gone without any explanation or any more detail. But he come to that conclusion right away that she was gone. And so, Chris, you asked a great question, and questions are the catalyst for wonderful answers. And you said, and what brought you to that conclusion? That was pretty quick, right? And so, about her Summer being gone. So it's a great question. So here's what he says. And again, this has a lot of information in here that most professional investigators are going to miss unless they know what to look for. So he says, just knowing her. So he's minimized it already with the just knowing her, no other explanation. But look what happens now. He says, and this because we tried to scare the heck out of her. Okay. So what he's doing here is he's selling this, that he knows her well enough that he doesn't need any other explanation. It's just that because I know her that well, I know my 5-year-old that well, that I just know that she wouldn't leave the yard. And so that's how I know that somebody took her. But that is a problem for him. And I know that because now his brain is kind of giving him this a signal that, Don, you better explain this further because they're not going to believe you. And so he explains this without being asked to explain it further. Your question solicited some high sensitivity, high anxiety, an acute need to explain why this is. And so he says, because we tried to scare the heck out of her. Now, he used that word tried. That doesn't mean that they did. That is typical of when they are distancing themselves from commitment to what they're saying. And I go back now to the word just knowing her. That's another little distancing. And so we started out with distancing, and now we have this tried, which he takes himself out of the further from the commitment again. So he's saying that they scared her. They tried to scare her. And if you don't believe me, because we do have bears. So this is really his brain on overload. I need to sell this really bad, that we tried to scare her. And if you don't believe that, you should believe me because we have bears. And then it gets
like
better.
The mountain lion.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, from Barry Morphew. Is that what you're referring to?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So same thing. So so I know now that he is feeling a lot of stress. Okay. Your question brought out this high level of stress in him. Look what he does now. He says, and we do, you know, them dogs can lick you so much. Them dogs, they're the stupidest damn things. And they also will go away for days and then come back. I don't know where the heck they go, but they do. Chris, he described what a habit of the dogs. And you got to ask yourself, why did he take so much time to describe what these dogs normally do, what they could do, to sell you that these dogs are stupid and that they go away? Well, here's why. And after he says all that, he says, and they weren't there that day. That statement, that little sentence came after all that explanation. He laid the groundwork. And so it's a need to persuade you that the dogs weren't there that day, because they can disappear at different times without any reason. He wants you to believe that they weren't there that day. So it's an overt need to sell that. And Chris, that's a huge thing. This whole answer that he gave you to that question that you asked, how you came to that conclusion, it has brought up huge anxiety in Don, and this need to persuade you and to sell his story that the dogs weren't there that day. If the dogs weren't there, that's the only way that somebody could have got up to take Summer. The stars had to align, and the dogs had to be gone. And that happened. And if you don't believe me that happened, it's because they can lick you so much, and they're the stupidest damn things. And because they're stupid, they will go away for days at a time. He's selling it. And so that's a problem. That's a real problem. He is selling the story. And it's a story that he made up I shouldn't say made up. It's a story that he told from the beginning. And I think my mind went to that he made it up because of his overt need to sell it. And that's just not right. It's not normal.
Well, and that's interesting because when I pulled up, there were about 4 or 5 dogs that came out of the woods and about 7 or 8 dogs at the top of the hill. So it looks like they run in 2 packs. And it looks like they've bonded in that way. And I caught that right away, being a former dog handler when, in the PD.
Right.
86 to 89, I was a dog handler, as you remember. So I was like, well, that's interesting because, we have to say that all 13 dogs simultaneously, with the universe on schedule, decided to just disappear into the woods, so that this guy had the perfect scenario with no dogs. And then, of course, some of the other, linchpins. But the other piece of that, which I thought was interesting, is every one of those dogs that when I first approached, they were barking their heads off. And then as I got, they became a little more familiar with me and I wasn't making eye contact with them, then, they kind of mellowed out and they actually went under the trucks and laid down. And so, I mean, I'm no, Caesar Milan by any shape or extension or even thought process, but I certainly would be interested in getting him to weigh in on, behavior where all the dogs, and then, by the way, the other piece is if you look at some of the photography taken that day by the people on scene, all of those dogs are there. At least 4 or 5 of them were in some of the photographs.
Well, what do you know?
That was kind of interesting.
Well,
okay, I'm going to keep moving.
There you go. That's why his need to sell this, that they weren't there because they actually were there. So
Right.
there you go.
So are you ready? Keep moving?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
So the dogs, you think maybe the dogs got, well, what's your thought on why the dogs weren't there?
I don't know where they go, but there's been times, like I say, they've disappeared for days, and they'll come dragging back all tired and beat up and hungry, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't know where they go.
When I
All right,
told Candace
hold up.
she needed
Time up.
a zoo license.
Yeah.
Chris, hold up.
Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. He didn't answer your question. He
Yeah,
avoided he avoided the question. And he went totally back to selling this thing about the dogs. So another problem. There's another problem, Chris, and we got to ask, well, why would he want to deflect or avoid this question? And I think it goes back to him needing to sell that story that he told the reporters right from the beginning.
Okay. I'm going to keep going.
Let's go.
I've seen that. Yeah.
I'm like,
I know.
you know. So what time did you get there? Do you remember?
Well, they say, you know, it's really strange because I thought it was 5:30, but the 911 call says 6:30, 6:26 is when the first call come in. And that could have well be. Sometimes I work till sunset, you know. A lot of times I have been here lately, but
Yeah.
But I thought it was 5:30. But the strange thing of it is when we went to the Hawkins County to do our lie detectors and everything like that, they took all of our phones. And then magically all of our phone records from 3:30 on that day have been deleted.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, me, my wife, and her mother have all been deleted from 3:30 on.
So they
we gotta talk about this. Yeah. I'm curious to hear what you thought when you heard this come out of his mouth, because this is a key part of all this right here.
Yeah, well, I know what they did with those phones. You know what they did with those phones.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they gave them back, personally. I think they're sitting in an evidence locker somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's a CAS team or a data analysis team that is pounding on those, because I've heard that they bought new phones shortly after this at AT&T. Okay. That's my understanding.
Well, so here's my perspective on this. And I agree with you 100%. If I was in an investigation like this and we had reason to take the phones, they're not getting those phones back. That's right. That's evidence. So they would be in an evidence locker. So I'd be hugely surprised if they got those phones back. But what he said was, linguistically, we want to know what the linguistic behavior is here. It's interesting that he totally changed the subject from the time that you're asking about the time and everything, and he went to the lie detector, and then he talked about the phones, and it was unsolicited, and I'm okay with that. If it's going to help the investigation and help bring Summer home. It's just interesting the way he said this. Because what he's doing here is he is he's inferring that the police did something that they shouldn't have done. That the police did something shady but he didn't actually say that. So he said, they took all of our phones, and then magically all of our phone records from 3:30 on that day have been deleted. He didn't actually say that the cops deleted that information. He wants you to believe it. He wants you to interpret. This is passive language, meaning he's not saying who deleted that information. He can't bring himself to say that the cops deleted that information, but he is acknowledging that information is missing from 3:30 on that day, and it's on his wife's phone, his phone, and his mother-in-law's phone. All that information is deleted. And it would not surprise me one bit if we had a peek into those phones that are likely sitting in evidence right now, if they deleted records from the hard drive of that phone. It doesn't mean it's deleted from the carrier's records, but it's probably on the hard drive. I think they may have tried to delete some information, some text messages or whatever it is. But he's trying to cast blame on the investigators, but he didn't actually say that. And this is a very common thing for people to do in situations, investigations like this. They will try to steer it, cast doubt, cast blame, parry to some, like you said, this Assad, some other dude. Only in this case, you look at the police because that information is now missing. So it's really interesting.
If that investigator did give it back to him, then, you know, that guy needs to go to Homicide 101 or Missing Persons 101.
Yeah. I really hope that didn't happen because, yeah.
Me too. Me too. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. How about that? Yeah,
let's do that.
Okay. But you and I both know the technology, you know, so I'm gonna put a bingo card on 50 for that technology to come back. So we'll go there. How about that?
Yeah, I'm with you.
You're gonna add a 50, so we got a bingo for 100.
There we go.
Technology coming back. Okay, so let's see what we're headed here. And by the way, I think this one where he goes here is really interesting, and I've been waiting to hear your insight on this side here. So
you tell me where you want to stop then. Where?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yep.
And when did they give them back to you?
And by the way, for the record, Don is very nice on the phone. He's very polite. He's very, thankful. He thanks a lot. I think this is his MO, is, kind of kill him with kindness and see where it goes. And then when it doesn't kind of go his way, and I think that this is a good example of what the PD, the PD are trying to find his daughter. Okay. And to your point earlier, and to my observation earlier, and this is just my opinion, they're doing it wrong. Okay? And in fact, he's got these, detectives that he told me about who are going to do it right. Okay. So I think that's, pretty interesting in of itself. And that's, we're going to see where he's going to go here, and I'll stop it. Or you tell me where to stop before my thought process, if that's
okay. Sounds good.
All right, bud.
They give them back, fairly quickly, but we never even looked at them until about, a week or two ago.
Okay. So this is his communication lifeline. And
yeah.
Finding his daughter, Summer, the lifeline communication to the PD, to the world, about, hey, we found her, okay? But somehow he doesn't look at him for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Thought? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I have that highlighted, and actually I have, not only we never even looked at it, but I have arrows pointing to the words never and even. Never is one of those words that's often used as a substitute for I didn't, or I did not. It doesn't mean that. But it's often used as a substitute. And then he adds in this even. When I hear that, I never even looked at it. I didn't even know. That tells me that he likely did know. He did look at it. This is something out of a sales line, a persuasion line. That's what it is. It's persuasion. We never even looked at it. And so he's trying to sell this thing about not knowing that the information was deleted from the phones. And that right there tells me that he likely knew about the information being deleted before those phones were even handed over.
Well, I'm going to go one step further for a second, because he introduces the detectives not TBI, not FBI, who's looking at those phones, okay? But his detectives.
Yeah.
His detectives ask, right? He goes, we have some detectives that we talk to a lot, and they wanted to know exactly this information. And we all looked, and it was all gone, deleted. So he's had, allegedly, the cops give him the phone back and say, hey, here you go, okay? And he realizes 2 weeks later, after somebody says, hey, we'd like to see that information, and lo and behold, it's all gone, okay? So, does that mean, so for 2 weeks he didn't text? Not a single text came out of that phone for 2 weeks. Okay. That's
highly
just
improbable.
my thought.
Yeah.
Highly improbable. Yep. And just go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that what you brought up about the detectives, I have that all highlighted as well. That is a reason. That is because his persuasion, we never even looked at it until about a week or two ago. That was so weak for him. He had to now give you a reason he had to sell that, and he give you a reason for looking at that. And that was the detectives. So it's one of those areas he wasn't asked, but yet he gave it. It's an unnecessary persuasion. And so that nails it. That nails it home, right? That hammers it home right there, because he used those detectives as a reason for looking at the phone. And then one other thing, he used the word we. We have some detectives. We talked to a lot, and they wanted to know exactly this information. And we all looked, and it was gone. So it's not just Don looking. He's burying himself. He's associating himself with the crowd here. And, I see that a lot as well. And you know what I'm talking about. Misery loves company. Guilt loves company. People like to bury themselves in the crowd. They won't be noticed as much. It kind of lessens things. It's the little Johnny coming home from school, and teacher says, hey, we need to talk. Your teacher called and said you were pulling the girl's hair at school. And Johnny's going to say, hey, but Mom, all the boys were pulling the girls' hairs. We were all doing it. And it lessens the guilt, that they feel better about it because everyone's doing it. And so that's exactly what Don's doing here, burying himself in the crowd.
Well, and remember Barry did this, right? Remember he says, we searched the mountains. We searched, this over there, all my buddies, we did this, we did that.
Yeah.
In this case, it would be Candace, himself, and his grandma. That would be the we, right? That would be the we on this. Good catch, Steve. I appreciate that insight. You ready for some more?
Yeah, let's go.
We have some detectives that we talked to, a lot, and they wanted to know exactly this information, and we all looked, and it was all gone, deleted.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So what about when you, in your gut, I was watching the news, you on the news channel, and when the reporter asked you, what's your fears and stuff, and what is your thought process about where do you think she is?
Well, at first I thought, it's got to be some sicko hillbilly druggie, drug her off in the woods or something, or somebody put her in her car and took her not too far away or whatever like that. But I'm starting to wonder if it isn't some high-end thing. Maybe somebody's seen her on Facebook, because my wife was always posting stuff on Facebook. It could have been, she could be anywhere. I haven't. My mind just goes back and forth. I don't have any idea. But I figured,
Chris, hold up a second.
Kind of that fired.
Yeah, I'm going to back up just a little bit before we get too much into the weeds of what he said. We lose it. What he said in the beginning here of this answer. By the way, I love the question, and so now he's got to give you this answer. What his thought process, or where do you think she is? So he says, Well, at first I thought, it's going to be some sicko hillbilly druggie, drug her off in the woods, or, or something. And now listen to this, or somebody put her in her car and took her not too far away. Chris, he just told us that he thinks who's ever responsible for this is a female.
Wow.
Somebody put her in her car and took her not too far away.
Wow, wow.
He's narrowed this down. That's what's in his head. And Chris, what happens here is the brain works so fast, and that's what makes this work so well, because they can't control this. He would have to talk at a very, very slow rate to control everything that's in his brain. His brain is trying to convey something, his story, his thought process, but it's picking out these pronouns. And pronouns are one of those things that they take absolutely no thought for us to use, because we've been using them since we were old enough to talk. They are some of the first words that we ever say is a pronoun. And we use emotion before we can even talk, that I want, mine, things like that. And so the pronouns are the slipperiest things, and that we call them invisible words sometimes, because they take no thought process. They take no thought process, Chris. And as a result, his brain reached into his vocabulary, and it picked out the appropriate word without any thought, and it just threw it out.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beginning of this and play it again, so everybody can hear it again.
Well, at first I thought, it's got to be some sicko hillbilly druggie, drug her off in the woods, or or something, or somebody put her in her car and took her.
Wow.
There you go.
Good, man. That's why you're the best, Steve. So when I get to this highlighted area, are you okay if I bounce past that, because she dropped some names and I don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I'll get to the end and stop again, and then you can educate us a little bit more. Here we go.
Or not too far away or whatever like that, but I'm starting to wonder if it isn't some high-end thing. Maybe somebody's seen her on Facebook, because my wife was always posting stuff on Facebook. It could have been, she could be anywhere. I haven't. My mind just goes back and forth. I don't have any idea. But I figured, and that guy I found, he was so damn high on something. It was unbelievable. I don't know. I've never seen anything like him.
Was he on?
Okay, so anything else on that one paragraph, Steve? That
no, the only thing is there that he gives us reason. So he gives us another thought that this might be some high end thing, and I'm so funny. I said no, and now here I have this big explanation of what I do have a thought. What he's doing is he's introducing that there's a possibility that Summer was sold. And
wow,
Chris, this is disturbing. Here's the other thing too, as I'm looking at this and piecing it together, he's casting the onus of this on his wife posting on Facebook. And now the Facebook posting is kind of the side note, but the onus he's putting on Candace, his Summer's mom. And that came in almost the same thought process as him letting that pronoun her slip out, that Summer was in her car. Somebody put her in her car and took her not too far away. By the way, not too far away, that is in direct contradiction of what he's been saying before, because he's been saying that she's way down the road. She's way far away. She's beyond reach. She's gone. And now he's saying that in this context, that this female, put her in her car, and took her not too far away. Chris, we have a problem here. He's contradicting himself. He doesn't even know it. And now he's introducing this another process, totally different, that she could have been sold. And I say totally different, but it could go right along with it, that if she was sold, that this was maybe done in a location that wasn't too far away, which is just, it's a sick thought. He introduced it. I'm just calling it out. But I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't like that one either. Let's put that one on the board for sure.
Yeah.
And I love this answer where my question is, was it meth? And he answers, I've seen people on this before. Yeah. Okay. Well, we know why. So he's just kind of dodging it, right? You know. So here I go. Tell me when.
Okay.
I've seen people on I've seen people on meth before, and this was beyond that. He was, I mean, I don't know. He showed up one day, and he was running late, and he says, "Oh man, I've been out helping my."
Yeah, we lost cell coverage there, so it comes back.
Hello?
And he was running late, and he says, "Oh man, I've been out helping my uncle clear land somewhere, and blah blah blah." And this is a man that I let him in my business and give him 50%, and all he had to do was show up, and he's already given me excuses, you know. But whatever he was on, it was bad because, you know, he wouldn't listen to anything I said. I mean, it's hard to explain, but he was just fighting me every inch of the way on everything. And I give in and would let him do, okay, you want to do that, fine. But he thought that there was all kind of dirt in his mud, and he wanted me to throw it away and get him some new stuff, and he blew up. And he's like, "Man, you put it back in there, or what?" He just like yelling at me. And then later that day, he's like, "Just go home." He was throwing mud all over the floor, a brand new house, throwing mud all over the floor. And it took him 2 hours to do a 20-minute thing. And he was just so hyper-focused on it. That's a word I picked up off of YouTube about meth, but hyper-focused. And I can't remember the rest, but he was absolutely hyper-focused on this one little thing that took him 2 hours, and he just couldn't get it right. He was frustrated and just going on, and finally he says, "Why don't you just go home? I can handle this house." I just hired this guy like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I've been with Tucker Drywall.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, he's going to go on and on and on about this guy, and it's, I mean, we're going to eat up a bunch of time about him telling you about this guy. But let's just talk about it a little bit, what he's told us. I've heard more about this guy's behavior at work and him, like you said, Chris, he knows what meth looks like. He knows what different types of drugs look like, and what it's like to be on those drugs. And he's saying that this was beyond anything he's ever seen, and he's giving a lot of detail about. And in fact, he used the word hyper focus, and I love that he said that's a word I picked up off of YouTube. So he Googled it. It sounds like, and he was researching. People that are on different types of drugs or meth or so somehow he learned this word hyper focused. And so he's trying to he learned that to describe how this guy was. And he's so hyper focused and high on meth. And, it's the problem I have here, and I want to get your thought on this, but the problem I have here is that, to me, this is a sales pitch. He's selling how high this guy was so that we will believe what he's going to tell us. And he's really giving us all this unnecessary detail. He's really slowing things down here by describing, he's devoting all this energy, this mental energy, to this guy and how high he was. And this is going to come into the story of an abduction and casting blame on this guy that was high and that ended up getting fired, that he fired the day before Summer went missing, and all that's coming up. But he's really laying foundation for that story. And Chris,
yeah, but then he qualifies it, right? He qualifies it with, well, he has alibis. Meaning TBI and the FBI told him, hey, we've already flipped this guy around 4 or 5 times, and sorry, we're not buying it. If whatever's for sale, it's we're telling you. And they tell Don, and Don says it. He says it. He says, well, the guy's got alibis.
Yeah.
Okay, so he tells his detectives, by the way, who are not private detectives, by the way. They are an organization that basically a support organization. They're not even PIs. Nobody's licensed. Nobody has any experience other than they're good people with a good heart looking to help families and friends. And that's these detectives that he keeps referring to here. Okay. And they're probably great people. The problem that I have to be honest with here and mention is, you and I both know that we know these guys' backgrounds. And,
right.
He had, he's been, he tells you years ago, he went to Mexico running coke. He's been doing meth for many years. He went to prison. Okay. He's been on really hardcore drugs. If people are, looking at his legs and saying, look at all these marks and stuff. Well, those are track marks, folks. Okay. Those are tracks. Okay. And, you can shoot, you can shoot all kinds of drugs into that. Anywhere from cocaine to heroin to meth, you name it. You cook it up, put it in an injection, find your favorite bottle cap, throw it over a little flame and, fire away, tie off and go. Okay. So I saw that stuff right away and said, wow, that's interesting. And then we started talking about, Crocodile and, the way he was describing this guy. I asked him, I said, have you ever heard of this Crocodile stuff? And he was like, I kind of heard of it, but not really. Okay. Well, come on. Everybody knows, if you're out on the street and you're streetwise, you know what time it is. It's that simple. So, well, I think this is a good place to stop, Steve, and take a couple of questions, and then we can, revisit this on the next one too, because I promised you I would only keep you here an hour and a half tonight. So without asking theories to the case or anything like that, let's take some questions. And I know, right? Don't stop. I'm sorry, DeSandra. So let me go over here for a minute. And let me pull this out for a second. By the way, we're going to keep moving on this, but unfortunately, Steve and I, we made an agreement that I would not keep him here for a month and a half. Okay, like we did 3 hours, I think, the last time you were here. So
yeah,
I think are you good for Tuesday? You think Tuesday would work for you?
I think Tuesday works. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to revisit this again on Tuesday. So let's go up here. Here's a question. What is Crocodile? So Crocodile is a synthetic drug that, you can't feel any pain. It's consistent with, PCP around that, family, but it's not phencyclidine. Phencyclidine is an animal tranquilizer, okay? And Crocodile is kind of synthetic to that. And these guys feel no pain, no nothing. I mean, it's amazing, crazy drugs. And here's one right here. It says, been in the streets for a long time and never seen Crocodile. I'm in Atlanta. Go to Florida. Okay? Go to Florida. You'll see it everywhere. Okay, like meth started in California, believe it or not, in the early 80s, and then it started working its way west. Okay, Crocodile's doing the same stuff. Same way, but thank you. There you go. That's for you, buddy.
Thank you, Barbie. Appreciate it.
Here's a good one. Greg, thank you. It's huge in Europe. Is gasoline mixed ether, codeine, and other stuff. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate that. See it, so it's working its way around, it's crazy. It makes people like zombies. I mean, literally turns people. There you go, right there. Janet just said the thing, same thing. Thank you. Okay. Is this the end of the subject? So yeah. Let's see here. Dre Latrina, yeah. So let's see here. I have patients who have shot heroin every darn location in their body, wrists, hands, ankles, feet, and neck. Yeah, Dr. Latrina. Thank you so much, Latina. Yeah, somebody's got other channels up here. Not interested, but we appreciate it. Let's see here. Here's more. Here's a question for you, Steve. 74 Deeds. With the contradictions, lies, and Freudian slips, do you think we'll ever find the truth?
You know, I do. I think, you know, the truth usually comes out one way or the other. It usually manifests. And, you know, sometimes it just takes time. And, you know, some of the other cases that are being worked right now, you know, I've seen comments and I've received emails from people asking about the time frame and why an arrest hasn't been made. And, you know, I'm really good with an arrest not being made right away, because that means that they're taking their time to do all the forensics and get all the cell records and work all the leads and work all the angles that might be used for a defense, and if they have the right suspect, and you know, there's a lot to do. I mean, there's just a lot to do, and so the truth will come out. It just takes a while, and you know, Chris and I are trying to help that investigation along. There's little things in the language, like Don's little Freudian slip, that maybe they missed. A lot of people miss those types of things. And so I'm hoping that those things can help move the case along. But I think it'll come out.
This one's for me. Chris, you're really wrong. Okay. The next one is Andrea. And thank you for your question here. She goes, how long would it take for the cell phone records to come back? Typically 30 to 60 days, depending on the caseload at the agency they were submitted to. This one here's, got it? Okay, here's Jan on the Lamb. Great seeing you, but no question but have Steve on Gives Me Hope. Thank you. Yeah, he gives me hope too. He always does. Grateful for that. And I'm going to leave I Am Veritas up for everybody. There's 15,000 people in the chat here, so everybody, you got that one right there? You know, there you go. Okay. Retired RN, thank you for everything you do. Your teaching education we're receiving. You're very kind and you're very welcome. I love this guy. I mean, as you can tell, he just nailed something that, you know, I've been listening to this thing for a week or two, or whatever it is, a week, and he just nailed something that I hadn't heard. Dennis Spaulding, thank you so much for your kindness. Let's see here.
Hey, Chris, if you're really wrong, I don't want to be right. You're right on the money.
Ask everybody in prison that I've ever put in prison. And I have people on death row who always said I was wrong. Okay, good for you. I always, quite frankly, I mean, we're so used to that, Steve, right? I mean, we've been in this industry, 40 years now. I mean, it's like, you know, okay, you know, these are the same people on the street. They go, well, you know, that's not my dope. Oh, really? How did it get in your pocket? How did it get in your pocket? Well,
those aren't my pants.
Yeah, you put it in your pocket, right? And here's a quick question for you. How many beers have you had tonight? What's the answer, Steve?
2.
Two. Yeah. Or hey, can I talk to you? Who, me? No, the guy standing next to you at 3 o'clock.
As he's walking, as he's getting ready to run, as he's turning and walking.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah, you know, let's talk. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Keep it coming.
Hey, Chris, there was a little anecdote. On my website, I have some blog articles, and one has to do with the Lori Vallow case. And she wrote an email to JJ's school, withdrawing him from school. And so I just broke down the email. This is way before, her marriage to Chad, and I don't know, maybe she was married to him by then. I don't remember. But anyway, before the kids were found deceased, and I just broke down the email, and it showed that there were some issues with it. And you can get on my website and go to the blog articles and read that. But I posted it on social media, and there was an attorney that turns out had some association with the Vallows, and he posted that I didn't know what I was talking about. And I just laughed because I was just calling out the truth. And it's not my, it is my opinion, but it's based on forensic, it's science. It's just following the principles. And if you just follow the principles, it always leads you to the truth. And then look what's happened. Now look where Lori's at. So I'm telling you, it always works out. It always comes out. Just tether yourself to the principles, to the rules, and it always works out. And that's all we're trying to teach investigators is to tether yourself to the principles. And I'm telling you, it'll give you just a whole new world, a plethora of information.
Yeah, and they're going to do Chad on the death penalty. That's a whole new day, right? I mean, we talked about that how many times, that he has no idea what's coming. Okay? He has no idea what's coming.
Yeah.
So, keep them coming, guys. And by the way, I want to reiterate to everybody, if you're new to my channel, I have something just for you if you're trolls. Okay? It's my Discord channel. I actually have a room over there that you can go over there and just throw it everywhere you want. Okay, I'm good with that because it gives you a place to vent. Okay, and also I keep people saying, well, how come you turn off your comments? Because I don't think it's fair to Summer. Okay, that you get an opportunity as a sociopath to sit behind your keyboard and blast away at a 5-year-old little girl who's missing. Okay, that's why I've set up your own channel. So please go over there. It's called Trolls. You can't miss it. And have a good time. Okay? Seriously. I think that's wonderful. Blair, this is great. So you're confused, misinformed about crocodile. Crocodile would be desmorphine, which people in Russia started to attempt to make with codeine. Toxic chemicals. Sightings in the U.S. are rare but unverified. Okay? Well, we appreciate that insight for sure. Let's see here. No need to bash other channels. That's correct. We're not going to do that, and thank you. And mods, if you can kind of take a look at some of these folks who are just firing away. That's okay that they do, because that's the other reason I turn off the replay chat. So you just kind of go become anonymous, as that guy says, right? You just go away. Have a good day. Okay, you can have your 5 minutes here, and at the end of it, you just go away. But you're welcome to go to my Discord channel, because I don't own it. Discord does. And they'll ban you if you go nuts in there. Just let you know. Did I notice anything about the flower pots while they were there? The day after Summer came up missing, they posted pictures of flower pots. They did day before with weeds almost a foot tall. Yeah, there were little rocks and stuff in them. And I think Candace, in my opinion, described pretty clearly that, they had cleaned out all the weeds and stuff, and they were putting rocks in there, and that was kind of Grandma's, situation that they wanted to do. So, so right here, thank you, Mrs. J. As a psychology grad student, I really appreciate the education and XQ2 display. Thank you. Well, we appreciate that very much. We appreciate that. And we don't have a dog in this game. I mean, we are literally taking our time here tonight for Summer. and kind of figure out, okay, what is the relevance here? Is any of this even relevant? Right? And like we said in the beginning, guilt or innocent is not, it's not our responsibility, and nor will it ever be. Okay? That's up to the courts to let them decide. And let's see here. All right, so
Scott.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's regroup on Tuesday, Steve. If you're still good with that, brother.
Yeah, let's go.
And we'll pick it up at the. I've got the 11:54 mark. Man, see, that's what I was talking about. We're only 11 minutes and 54 seconds into this thing, and you know, here we go. Right, we got an hour and 40 minutes. So this. And by the way, so Buddy, just for our Buddy fans, he's over here to the left, that nut job. He's over here sleeping on the floor. He was, you know, you could hear him in the back, you know, shaking his little toys and stuff. I absolutely love that guy. I want everybody to know, you know, Steve, so I'm going to give you the last word here for a second, then I'll kind of just tag on a couple of things here, thanking some people, and we'll go from there. You okay? You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. You're very kind. Very kind. Okay, so Steve, what do you got to say, buddy? Anything?
Yeah, you know, this, I'll go back to one of those questions. Do you think the truth will ever come out? And, you know, this is, man, it's such a good work to be involved in. We don't always like the end result. And there's a lot of, dark weeds you have to weed to get through to get to the truth sometimes, but it's always there. And you know, I think in the end that it's going to come out. It's difficult in cases like this because you always want to. I'm still going to believe everything that I'm hearing, that I'm being told. I'm going to apply the principles to it, and I'm going to believe it. But ultimately, I hope that you know, investigators that are listening, whether you're criminal investigators or investigating in the hiring process, or you know, HR people investigating workplace injury complaints or sexual harassment complaints, or corporate investigators, or whoever you are, whatever you do, if you learn these principles, they will catapult your skills. They will catapult you'll be in a whole new paradigm. You're going to rise to the next level. And I know because I experienced it, and I'm seeing it happen all the time. I'm working with investigators with daily. And so that's the goal here, is just to make better investigators, to help these cases along, solve the cases, to bring justice. That's the goal. And there's really nothing else. I do have some courses. I have one main course. It's on my website right now. It's a brand new website. If you guys go there, there's a free PDF right on the homepage. Sign up to get the free PDF. I'll never share your information. You will be on my email list. You can unsubscribe to that email list anytime, but I will have a series of smaller courses coming out. The one that I have there right now is like, it's the whole enchilada. It's everything that we teach in a 3-day class to criminal investigators. And I'm going to put some smaller ones out there and a few freebies and things like that. If you guys are on my email list, you'll get first dibs to those. You'll get a little discount. So everybody go there and sign up for that free PDF and get on my email list. I'm hoping that criminal investigators especially will take note and subscribe to that course. If you want me to come out to your location, I'm certainly happy to do that. Shoot me an email and we'll talk about that. I'm always willing to help out criminal investigators. That's there's nothing better. It's God's work to do this right. We want to clear the innocent and bring those that are guilty to justice, and you know, that's the end game right there. And Chris, I appreciate the opportunity.
anytime, brother. You know that. Anytime. You're the best in the business, and you know, you make me look younger. Okay, and for that I am grateful. So what now with this dynamic? Look at that question right there. What do you, so it says, I did not hear that someone's placed Summer in her car. I think he said someone placed her in the car. Okay, so you know, okay, it's you know, could be, but you know, we'll see, right, Steve?
Well, and that's
yeah. Go ahead.
That's one of those questions that you know, when we see something like that, we go back and we listen to it over and over and over to make sure that we are hearing the right thing. I can't tell you how many times I spent literally an hour or two rewinding one sentence just to get it right, and I give it to somebody else. I do an analysis with a group. I have an advanced group I do a team analysis with. They are just over the top, really, really good analysts, and we'll throw it out to the group and get a general consensus. We're never going to rely on just one thing, one opinion, one deceptive indicator alone. We want a pile of solid evidence with solid proof, and we want consensus. Otherwise, we go back to the drawing board and find out where we went wrong. Because if it doesn't align, then we did something wrong, and we learn, and we go back to the drawing board, and we'll get it right. So that's a really good comment.
Appreciate that. And guys and gals, thank you so much. You know, Steve's his integrity is impeccable, and you know, we're just grateful that you're here, being, you know, patient with the process for Summer, with the investigators. I'm sure, you know, we've both been in that position where, you know, these are. Do you still testify in court? Yes, all the time, and so do I, by the way. FYI, actually, I'm working a case out of Alaska where a woman is in custody. I can't name it, but she's in custody for murder, and I don't think she did it. And by the way, you know, I'm one of the good guys on the other side, but I'm also one that looks down the middle of the road, right, and says, okay, did they do it? And if so, how? And if they didn't do, I'm the first one to tell you, no, I don't think they did. And I've been voir dired in, you know, murder cases as a expert in homicide investigation. I can't tell you how many times, okay? But a lot. Okay? And I have a caper right now that I'm working behind the scenes. And I've also been working with the Miliete family and Chula Vista PD actively. If you haven't noticed, so this isn't my first rodeo. Okay? So we love you guys. From our TIR family, our TIR subs, and our members. We cannot do this without you. And, of course, every one of you folks out there that is looking for Summer on your own time and doing your thing, you know, keep going. Keep going. Don't give up hope. Keep going. Okay, this is about her. Okay, and, you know, folks can say whatever they want about us. We're used to that. Okay. We're used to that. So, you know, the rest, that comes with the territory. But a 5-year-old little girl does not deserve that. Okay? So think before you press that keyboard, okay? Because it really could impact, you know, the totality of the investigation. So with that, if you haven't subscribed, hit it. Hit the button. Pass everything along. Be good to each other. And we will see you on the next one. You guys ready? Let's go to Hawaii here. Let me see here.
Let's go.
Dillan's not here, so I gotta. There it is. See you on the next one.
Hard working every day. I'm stressed out. 24/7, babe. No timeouts. Wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah, make special memories together. I'll be your company. Now it face in Hawaii.